All right. So, Minnesota's a big topic right now, and rightfully so. I'm very disappointed, and it's my third time saying on this. But it'll be the first time everybody gets kind of hear me on social media. Hear me say it, like see me say it in front of a camera. I just didn't post it and get it out, but that's my fault. But I'm gonna say this right now. I personally think Chris Finch should be fired. Um, Look, man, as a Timberwolves fan, that kind of stuff. I know it sounds wild. It's like it's 5 games in, but it's not a 5 game sample size for me, at least. Going back to last year, um, Terrence Shannon didn't play to the Game 3 West Conference Finals. Jalen Clark didn't play at all. Rob Dillingham really never got a chance to play in competitive games last year. So, and it was the same thing this year. I just put it like this: everybody's saying who's the problem. The first problem is this: Rob Dillingham should be the starting point guard. Everybody talks about his size. There's a lot of point guards who don't got size. Van Fleet, Jamal Murray, Trey Young. I mean Peyton Pritchard. Just because you're short or you're smaller than most people in the NBA does not Steph Curry. I mean, a lot of guys are small. There's ways to get around it. If you're good enough offensively and you compete defensively, which is what he did, he forced almost 2 turnovers tonight. It does not matter. Rob Dillingham should be playing. Everybody talk about the size, but I just named 5 players who get around their size and contribute to championship level teams. So it's like just because he's smaller and he's shorter doesn't mean you can't play around. It doesn't mean he can't have a bigger impact defensively and offensively. He can have a high impact. I think it's an excuse of people who just want to defend Finch for not playing him, which is stupid because we traded up. We traded draft capital to draft him in the top 10 of the draft, and right now we're not getting an ROI on that because our coach refuses to play him. And he's the best point guard we have, and he'd rather play Mike Conley, who shouldn't be playing for anybody. Mike Conley should be a reserve. Mike Conley's not a high level player. Um, he doesn't add anything on the court. The ball, he's not a true point guard because the ball just stops. All he knows how to do is run pick and roll, Rudy Gobert, and then it ends there for Mike Conley. He can't do anything else. The ball stops with him. It gets stale. Just not a high level point guard anymore. Should not be playing for the Timberwolves or anybody in the NBA. That's the first one. So Rob should be starting, and I think Bones Highland off the bench behind him. The second problem is this: everybody's pissed at Nas Reed and Gobert, and I'm not saying you shouldn't be, but I got 2 reasons why I'm not as pissed at them as I am at just Chris Finch. It's not Nas Reed's fault that his coach, everybody knows Nas Reed can't defend, and that's not his strength. So why is he our rim protector? It don't make no sense. That's like putting. I'm not gonna say that player's name because I don't want to diminish it because he's our favorite player of all time. But it's like I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like you. Everybody knows where he struggles defensively. You need to put a. It's like putting Cat at the 5. You know you're not going to be a high level defense if you have Cat at the 5. He does not his strength. You gotta. If you're putting Cat at the 5, you're playing. You're not playing Cat to his strength. You're not playing the Cat's strengths. At the end of the day, you're not going to get the most out of Cat. Everybody understands that. So why am I going to be mad at? It's like it's hard for me to be mad at Cat. Like that's what I'm trying to learn right now too. Maybe something I got to learn I did in the past is it's hard to be mad at Cat more than just the coaching or the front office for not putting players around Cat to help me better. I'm not mad at Nas Reed because everybody knows Nas Reed's strength is not his defense. So why not put a rim protector next to Nas Reed? Now you're saying who is that? Because Nas Reed's off the bench. By the time Nas Reed comes on the floor, Gobert's get if he's not if he may play a couple minutes, but by the time Nas Reed gets on the floor, Gobert's headed straight to the bench most of the time. He's not on the floor a lot. At least early in games when they start going to the bench. So he has to get a breather. And a lot of times he takes Rudy Gobert's spot at the 5. My thing is this: we drafted somebody that, from what I heard, I think straight from, at least from what the organization was, it's not straight from either Finch or Tim Colley's mouth was at least that was hyped. What we were told was this guy. I think Finch or Conley said it. They think this guy could be Rudy Gobert, but even better because they think he could even defend 1 through 5, whether it be on the perimeter, at the 3 point line, or behind, or in the paint. So why are you not playing Joan Baron? I call him Baron J. Right? So I just want to get. I just call him Baron J, not Joan Baron J. But I just call him Baron J. Why are you not playing Baron J next to Nas Reed? It makes no sense. I cannot be mad at Nas Reed because I know Nas Reed shouldn't be playing the five. Everybody in America can see that. So why would you not put somebody? We drafted somebody to help Nas Reed so that he could play to his full capacity. And the dude, by the way, so Barry J, I saw that day he wasn't even sitting on the bench. Barry J was on a stool. At least that's what it looked like. He wasn't even on the bench. And that's how you know he ain't playing. Because he's not even anywhere close to like nothing. Like he just on the stool. He know he's not playing. He like the rest of us, watching either on TV or in person. I mean, he might as well just be watching from home. I mean, really, honestly, because he ain't getting it no time soon. At least not with Finch at the helmet and Gobert and Nas Reed, those type of guys healthy. Um, but to me, and somebody like really tell me, does it really how does that make sense to not play Barry J? Wouldn't it make more sense to play Barry J next to Nas Reed? Wouldn't that make more sense? Wouldn't that be like somebody with a brain would think about? Like, hey, Nas Reed can't defend at the five. Let me put Juwan Barry J at the five, put Nas Reed at the four, and roll like that, and we're gonna see big. We're gonna see get our ROI on Nas Reed, and we're gonna see Barry J start to elevate and become that center, that franchise center. But because Barry J is not playing, we first of all we don't know, and it's causing a lot of friction right now, and it's making Nasri look worse than he really is because Nasri's a really elite player, but he's being put in a really crappy position. That's not his strength. I really think it's messing with him mentally because he's taking on the wear and tear of, oh, I'm playing bad. I can't. I get fouls. I can't rebound. I can't do this and that. When that's not his fault. Like it's not really his fault because that's not his strength. It's like it's not his strength, and it shouldn't be something he's asked to do. It should be something he's asked to do. It should be something that Baron J's asked to do. Something that Baron J can do. That's why I'm not mad at Nas Reed because he's not being put in position to succeed. It made just so much sense to play Baron J at the five off the bench, and he's not doing it. It doesn't make no sense. Nas Reed is not a five. The next discussion is this: why am I not mad at Rudy Gobert? Because everybody knows. First of all, that extension was ridiculous. They should have never done that. That's our last thing was really concerned. I get Rudy Gobert is declining, but we have the next Rudy Gobert, more athletic, more hustling, faster, run the floor, lob threat, jump higher, 7, 8 blocks or whatever, 5 blocks in his first G League game or summer league game ever. Like we have that guy who showed us the tangibles he has, and we choose to play Rudy Gobert 30 to 40 minutes a night over that guy. Like the whole point of us drafting Jerome Baron J, or at least I said John, my bad, Baron J, was that so that way Gobert's minutes can start to decline as he starts to decline, and Baron J minutes can start to ascend as he starts to ascend, and eventually Baron J just starts playing so well where we can kind of where Gobert's going to play a lot, and it can kind of Gobert he can be number two, and Baron J can eventually start. And then that can kind of hide the weaknesses Gobert has. And then with Baron J, it'll make it a lot easier on Gobert, make him Gobert look a lot better, play less minutes, so it's less. You're seeing less of his weaknesses. He's having less impact, like true negative impact on the game, like that kind of stuff. That's what I thought the plan is. Tell me why doesn't it make more sense to. That's why you should be playing Baron J so we can get to that point. Because you're not playing Baron J, it's only Gobert. Like you're asking Gobert to do stuff he's just not. Like we all. That's why. They were so like I remember even going pre-draft like all Wolves fans like, hey, we want Schwarber. That was a lot of people wanted, and it made sense because we needed somebody to start coming in and taking these minutes from Gobert as he started to decline, as we all could see. And we got somebody, but for some reason, we won't play that guy. We won't play Baron J. I keep saying that he's mysterious. We won't play Baron J. And I don't understand that because that's why I'm not mad at Gobert because like again, not Gobert's fault. His coach can't see that, hey, y'all drafted my replacement right now. He won't play him to make it easier. Like it's not always a player's thing. And sometimes it's a coaching thing. And it's not Gobert's fault to an extent. It's really not his fault that his coach is playing him more than he should be. That's not Gobert's fault. The problem is that his coach won't play the Baron J to make it easier on him and to start taking those minutes from him. And start, what I'm saying, like start covering that up. And start letting him take those starting rotations, starting lineups, and that kind of stuff as he can progress to that. But his coach won't do it. So it's like you're asking Gobert to do stuff that we all know he shouldn't be doing. He's playing minutes he shouldn't be playing because his coach refuses to play young guys. And you may say, oh, well, this is a one-year thing. Y'all forget Jalen Clark didn't play last year in the playoffs. I don't even know how much Jalen Clark played during the season. I remember he didn't play a lot during the season. Terrence Shannon didn't play a lot, and Rob Dillingham didn't play a lot. They were never no three of those guys really ever in the rotation consistently. They may have played, but they were never in the rotation consistently. And I definitely don't think they played in competitive matches. So I don't know what Finch's thing is. Like that's what I heard. Coming into the family was like, hey, Finch is Finch. He has a dislike towards rookies and young players. And a report that was brought to me, and was put on a podcast was somebody was told that Chris Finch called somebody in the higher ups of the Minnesota Timberwolves ownership, like team president or CEO or something like that, chief operating officer, whatever, and CEO or whatever. He called someone in the higher ups of the Minnesota Timberwolves front office in Ant's second year in the league and told him, "Hey, Ant doesn't have the it factor." So this guy's just really weird to me because for you to say about Anthony Edwards, tell me you don't know what you're talking about. First of all, you don't know what you're talking about. If you don't, you're two, you don't think Ant has a year factor. I know what you're talking about. And again, goes back Ant in year two, young guy. I think, and that kind of goes back to my point. I think he got something against young guys, but he went into the front of to the higher ups and said that. And that's a report that's coming out back to the surface up now, coming to the surface. And then seeing how he's treated Shannon and Jalen Clark. I actually made a podcast about this last year, or earlier, not last year, earlier this year, soon to be last year in a couple months, but earlier this year, I'm gonna say it again. Earlier this year, I made a podcast saying like, "Hey, Minnesota has depth, but Finch has to use it. Like Clark and Shannon need to be playing." Now I wasn't, I was, I didn't, I wasn't pushing for Dillingham, because like I just wasn't there. But I was like, for sure, Clark and Shannon should be playing in the playoffs because those guys can play for you right away. They have the size. They're gonna come out and defend, and then 3-point shooting. I'm like, if you get that from both those dudes immediately, and then the slashing with Terrence Shannon, you need that slashing, that guy that can pressure on the rim, that can get downhill on the defense, that can run, be athletic, can be a lot there, all that. He can give you that. They need that, and that makes Minnesota deeper, like OKC, and it makes it that's what you want. You want to be as deep as possible in the playoffs, that kind of stuff. And he didn't do it, and that's what I said before the playoffs even started, or right at the beginning of them. So it was just like I did say before the playoffs started, but it was just that was when I was like, okay, I'm gonna let you slide on this. Maybe we went this what's the conference finals. I'm gonna let you slide, but that's when I really going into this. I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe he learned from that. Shannon and them gonna play. It is what it is. Nickel Walker Alexander's gone now. Uh, minutes open up. Dillingham's gonna start. If not, he'll be off the bench, and he'll earn his way to the starting role. Same thing in Barron. I'm thinking Barron at worst is gonna be off the bench, and we're gonna start seeing our young guys play a lot, and we're going, we won't win it. I never thought this team was a championship team, but I'm like, okay, we're gonna see what these guys really got and see what the future looks like for this team, and we may, maybe in a year or two, we make a big move for like a Giannis or something like that, or whoever, and this team maybe competes for a championship. But at least we can see what we have on our young talent and see how far this team can really go with the young talent we have and some of the depth we got. And to see what Finch has done this year to start, the season, really been disappointing. But I think that's the biggest. That's what big problems I see. That like why I'm not really. I put a lot of this on, all of it on Finch because I think this team, what a lot of the issues this team is having is just Baron J and Rob Dillingham. Like if those two guys play, a lot of the issues will be removed from the team. But because Baron J and Dillingham aren't playing, and Jalen Clark, he's hurt right now, and so is Ant. But because Baron J and Dillingham aren't playing, like a lot of the holes that we have are because those two should be playing because they were slotted into this roster to play. This roster is built to play them in the rotation, and they're not. So the teams are looking a lot worse than it is. I personally like, and so and it also goes back to my point. Like I said, Shannon and Clark and Dillingham didn't play last year, and then this year Dillingham is barely. He only getting minutes because Ant's hurt, and he looked like he was the best point. He was the best point guard we had today, flat out. 5 assists, no turnovers. I mean, like, come on, what, 15 minutes, whatever. I don't know. It wasn't. It was some good time, but it wasn't enough. Best point guard today, and then Barrett just he's like I said, he's on. He might as well just go home. He might as well just go back to France or wherever he came from and just go play overseas because I don't even see the point of him playing on the team, being on the team if he's not going to play. But that's that. But my problem is it's a continual repetitiveness of not playing young players, and it's like why. Derek Lively was what, first, second year on the Mavs. Casey Waller was what, first, second year on the Thunder. He won a championship. Derek Lively in the finals, what, for us, freshman or sophomore year in the NBA. Like Christian Brown was what, second year, maybe rookie, maybe third year. I'm not sure, but Christian Brown was what, young on the Nuggets. He played for them. Like, I'm watching these teams compete for championships. OKC had one of the youngest starting lineups in the whole league to ever win a championship ever. Like, or one of the youngest. I didn't just starting line, just one of the youngest teams ever to win a championship. They just did it with a dudes who were like what, everybody's under 25 or whatever, 24, 23. Like, they're young as it gets pretty much, and they just won a whole championship and they dominated on their, and not dominate, but statistically they did dominate on their way to it. So it's like, that's what I don't get. It's like all these teams that compete for champions can play these young players, but we Minnesota cannot. That's what I don't like. And it's like when you consistently show me you won't play young players and you won't adapt to that depending on what your roster looks like, then that's why I'm out on you as a coach. I think Chris Finch needs to be fired, and I'm gonna continue to stand on that. And I'm gonna stand on Rob Dillon. He should be starting point guard. I'm gonna stand on Baron J. Should be, if not starting, at least off the bench next to Nas Reed. People can call me crazy or whatever. I'm standing on that. And I think he should be fired. I think Minnesota needs to do what Denver did: fire Chris Finch and hire McInerney, and make him your guy, and just get and do it and let him get the regular season. Plus, if you and then see, like I said, do it early enough to where he can have enough time to really see what he had. Cause unlike Denver, we might even make the playoffs. So I don't want to fire him game 70 and then say, okay, well the season's damn near over. In many games, we're not. If McIlroy, he'll have to wait till next year and give him a year to see what he has. Like, let McIlroy get enough time, get time this year, so that way when going to the off season, we at least okay. Well, McIlroy, he turned it around. We look like the team we supposed to look like. Yeah, we look like he has the most out of the team. Played Dillingham and Baron J, those guys. Put the right rotations, all that kind of stuff. Right defensive coverages. Put guys positioned to succeed. Do all that kind of stuff. And it's like, okay, he should be the guy. And let's be able to see him for a long enough run time to where we can decide if we want to make him the head guy or not. Because I'm done with Finch. This is ridiculous. And look, he's done great things. Wisconsin Finals. Tom Thibodeau did great things. Wisconsin Finals. But like, that's not an excuse to do negative to do what he's doing to the team. And at the end of the day, I have no problem with Finch's resume. But the same problem I had with Thibodeau is the same problem. And I'm not. I don't. Minnesota's my favorite team. I don't play favorites. Like, at least I try my best not to. Like, it doesn't matter. The same thing that happened with Thibodeau is going to happen. The same thing happened to Thibodeau is going to happen to Finch. If you're going to be stubborn in this league, especially with your rotations and how you play certain players, you're not going to make it in this league. I don't care what it is. You cannot be stubborn in this league. You have to constantly be adapting. I don't care what, and that's just life. Anybody that's stubborn in life isn't going to be successful for a very long time. Like, you always have to be adapting if you're going to be successful in life. People who don't adapt in life are people who usually they don't say aren't successful or aren't successful. They usually aren't successful in general, or they aren't successful for long periods of time. If you're going to be successful for long periods of time, you have to continue to be adapting, because you can't. The way you did it one year can be this. You may need to change the next year because this new tech or this new way to do things, this new way to think. This I can add this to my game. Always the way you usually can improve. And when coaches start getting stubborn like this, I saw it with Budenholzer in Phoenix. As a Suns fan with KD, I saw it in New York. Everybody saw that in New York. A lot of people don't even know about the Phoenix stuff, but everybody saw that in New York. I just went through with KD in Phoenix. You're not going to win this league if you're stubborn. And that's why I'm out with Finch. I think he needs to be fired and let McInerney take over. See what he has. Give him a lot of season. Give him a lot of runway to see what he has. Let this season be an audition for him. And then go to offseason and see, okay, do we want to keep Nori or do we want to move on to someone else? And let Nori go, interview and with Steph and go somewhere else. We have a chance to do what he wants to do with his career. But as I'm at Minnesota, a lot of issues to me are on Finch. I don't really put a lot on players. It's just hard for me too when I see what's happening. And look, and people may say I'm crazy. Like, I'm gonna stick with my stuff, and that's what I've learned to do is stick with my opinions and trust what my eyes are seeing. And I trust what my eyes are seeing, what my brain's telling me, and my heart and my soul and all that. Like, it's telling me that this dude's he's not putting these guys in position to succeed. And when that's happening, it's hard for me to blame the players when the coach not putting them in position to succeed. And at the end of the day, like I said, Tom Thibodeau made the Wisconsin Finals. I got fired for a reason because you got to adjust, bro. Well, that's cool and all, but you got to adjust. If you're not going to adjust, you're not going to make it in this league for a long time. So, just like in life.